Hafidez and Tiro, welcome to another episode of CNMI Weekly. I'm Thomas Manglona, and today we are reporting from Micro Beach on Saipan with young Pacific leaders Jude and Shannon, who recently participated in the YPL program at FestPac in Hawaii. So I think we'll go ahead and just start off with a bit of introductions, your name, your background, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your role that you played at YPL at FestPac. So Jude, we'll start with you.
So my name is Julie Tillamar. I am currently 18 years old and enrolled in NMC. I'm majoring in natural resource management, and I am a young author of the book Boletel Wushura Yo Kolor Followash. So that is the story of the Carolinian stick dance.
All right, Shannon.
Hafa everyone. My name is Shannon Tadella Sasamoto. I graduated with my bachelor's in business management last year. Now I am currently taking my fashion design very seriously and really trying to create different garments inspired by the Northern Marianas.
And you might recognize Shannon because we interviewed her after your fashion show at FestPac, and actually you're wearing one of your pieces today, right?
Yes.
Yes. And so for those who might not know, can you tell us what YPL is and what you did at FestPac and just a little bit of background of the program, because there were two from each Pacific nation, and the CNMI, you were our ambassadors during FestPac, right?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. So for us, I think we had the unique element of having two different cultures there. So I represented the Chamorros, and then Jude here represented the Carolinians. But as for backgrounds for young Pacific leaders, they have different types of programs or conferences. So for our program, it was unique as well because we had the opportunity to be a part of a program that lasted for 2 weeks. Usually it lasts for 2 or 3 days. And this was the first time that they collaborated with FestPac as well.
And so what did the experience mean to both of you? What were your biggest takeaways? What did you have to do as part of the program? And Jude, we'll start with you. And
I feel like the experience was such a uplifting moment for both of us because it is not only just to represent your culture but also to experience the other cultures in the whole Pacifica, and we got to hear the voices of many different people from across the Pacific Ocean, and just to tackle base on like the problems that we're having, but also like how we can improve and how we can uplift each other.
all right, and Shannon, what did the experience mean to you?
Being nominated and chosen for this position was really such an honor, and being there was such an honor as well. Like Jude mentioned, being there and immersing ourselves in the different Pacific cultures was beautiful because yes, although we're from the Pacific and we do share those similarities with one another, we do have those differences. We do have those different political statuses or differences in terms of traditions and customs. So learning from each other, it was just so beautiful, such a beautiful experience.
Yeah, I think that was the beauty of FestPac, right? To see everyone under one roof. It was described as one big family gathering.
Yes,
Yeah. And so I understand too, you got the chance to have dinner with the governor of Hawaii. Not everyone gets to do that, so tell us a little bit more about what you did in the program and what that moment, like having dinner with the governor of Hawaii, was like.
Yeah, so both Jude and I were able to meet the governor. We talked to him for a little bit. We also had a picture with him as well, along with other youth ambassadors. It was a really great moment for us, not just to meet the governor, but also other dignitaries from different Pacific islands, and also, have that close relationship with our Pacific brothers and sisters who were in the same program as well.
Yeah. So the coolest thing about the YPO program was that we didn't only just get to attend the FestPac events, but also programs that or like events that are just for YPL only. So we got to be invited to one of the First Ladies' table talks, and we got to talk about many different topics such as sustainability and sovereignty and also tradition. And what was most important there was, since it's FestPac, it was the Festival of Pacific Arts and Culture, we all tied that into how can we use storytelling and art to better voice these issues out. And it was interesting because, coming from both of us, right, Shannon is in fashion and I am an author of a book, we felt like we wanted to continue this and continue spreading messages throughout our work.
Right. I wanted to ask you, now that you're home, it's been a few weeks since FestPack. I think everyone has had time to process it a little bit because when you're in it, it was a bit overwhelming, right? Being surrounded by all those activities. But what are you planning to implement at home or continue in your work as in fashion or as an author? This is work you did before FestPack, and you just enriched yourself with this opportunity. So, yeah, how do you see yourself continuing the work, if anything?
Yeah, so we outside of FestPack, we had the opportunity to go to Honolulu Museum of Art, and we were able to see not just one but two exhibits for fashion. And I loved seeing the trademark or the signature of the Aloha shirt, as well as different types of muumuus. And so I would love to have something like that back home, where we sort of it's like contemporary, traditional, but it's like a signature look that we have. So Hawaii's known for the Aloha shirts, and then I would love to see if that's something that we could explore here as well.
Yeah, and before we go to Jude, do you want to explain a little bit about your fashion, where people can find it, if you're selling anything, what your design influences? I know we spoke a little bit about it after the fashion show in Hawaii, but for our audience today, yeah, tell us a little bit about your work here locally.
Yeah, it was interesting because after my fashion show, I had people come up to me and they're like, "Where can I find you? Like, what can I buy some stuff that you created?" And I said, "Well, actually, I'm not selling anything at this moment. Right now, what I'm doing is just trying to create as much as I can, get as much inspiration, learn as much about my culture, and not just learn it but live it, in order to really have that translated through my pieces." So right now, just working on my craftsmanship, my overall skills, and overall design.
All right, and what is the inspiration? Because I understand also that this is something you've carried on from your elders as well, right?
Yeah, so I was inspired by both my grandmothers. So growing up, my mom would tell me stories that my grandma would create clothing for her, and I just thought as a kid, I'm like, that's so awesome. And so even my paternal grandmother, my grandma Soledad, she would alter my clothing, and I would watch her use the sewing machine and her supplies. So I just thought, okay, this is something that's solidified within me, and I want to continue this. Right now, I just post my work on Instagram. So mainly my work is focused or inspired on the Marianas culture and nature. So far, I've created pieces inspired by the spondylus, the hema shell, as well as the traditional art of weaving.
Great. And then for you, Jude, you're an author, and so tell us a little bit about what motivated you to pursue that path and what the work looks like moving forward after FestPack.
So the path was actually a really random path because I became an author when I applied for, or not applied, but competed in one of the competitions. It was Lady Diane Torres' Foundation's Young Author competition, and I was one of the entries that got accepted, and they decided to publish my book. But it's definitely something that I, want to continue to do. In YPL program, they give us a access to a small grant of of up to $10,000. So that is definitely something that I want to apply for and hopefully use that to continue my work. And what inspired me was throughout the program, we got to meet so many different young Pacific leaders. I'm talking like Miss Palau, and also like we got to meet filmmakers, we got to meet artists, yes, art curators, dancers, just every single thing that you can imagine, they're doing it. And it was so inspiring because this is the youth of the Pacific, and I wanted to continue that stride with the youth. And so for my future ambitions, my future goals, I'm not sure if it's now or later in the future, but my future goals is to hopefully create more books, this time about uplifting the voices of the CNMI and the Marianas and hopefully the Pacific, and talk about things that we don't usually talk about, like climate change and also, tradition, just more stuff with those.
All right, I wanted to wrap up here with just asking you about your advice to other young Pacific leaders as you move forward with your journey. What's your advice to young Pacific leaders who maybe haven't found their passion yet, but they have a voice and they want to use it?
Yeah, so although I was inspired to go into fashion as a child, when I was in middle school, high school, and college, I really didn't think that it was a path for me. I thought maybe this is something that's unrealistic, and I never really saw people from here that considered themselves as fashion designers or were up in those types of careers. So I let go of that dream for a while. So my advice would be to look back on your childhood and see what exactly made you happy, because I think that's really where passion lies. It's like what truly made us happy, what truly made us passionate when we were children, and how can I bring that back into my adulthood?
And for you?
My advice is to just keep going. You know, you're um, one in a billion, and the work that you do speaks for yourself. You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room to speak for what you want to believe in. As long as you put in the work and continue striving for your goals, that's all that matters.
All right, beautifully put, both of you. Thank you, Shannon and Jude, for your time, and thank you for joining us. We'll be right back after this. So we're just getting the perspective on the SCOTUS ruling, which I think is a win for survivors, right? That basically upholds the law, not allowing abusers to have firearms. So what was your comment when you saw that?
Well, I think it's a tremendous win for survivors all across the nation. I mean, as advocates, we know how dangerous it is for offenders to have access to firearms. I mean, the SCOTUS, they also, talked about it in their decision in terms of when an offender has access to firearms, the chances of the victim being shot or killed increases by 500% or 5 times. Some studies even increase it as much as 11 times. So we know that it's exponential, right? Whenever a domestic violence offender has access to firearms, it increases the chance of the victim being shot or killed exponentially. So this is a huge win, and one that we were watching closely, and we are so glad that the Supreme Court understood how important it was to uphold this restriction of firearms for domestic violence offenders.
And so I'm trying to understand for the CNMI, have you seen firearms often involved in DV cases here?
Yes, we every year during Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we honor women who have lost their lives to domestic violence, and 3 of them, including a family member of mine, have been killed by their partner with a firearm. So we know it's definitely something that we are seeing here in the CNMI. We have had cases where offenders are using firearms to threaten, to harass, to terrorize victims. So it's 100% relevant to our community any community where domestic violence exists. The use of firearms is a factor. Whenever a victim of domestic violence obtains a temporary restraining order or gets an order of protection from the court does require offenders or respondents, as they're called in a TRO case, to submit their firearms to the court. If, for example, they're a law enforcement officer or somebody who uses a firearm in the course of their day-to-day work, then there are administrative procedures that the agency takes in order to secure the firearm. So it's definitely something that the CNMI has already been addressing, and we will continue to do so. If you are someone who is experiencing domestic violence, we have been talking about domestic violence as, all about power and control, and that can look like, monitoring any kind of physical threat, any kind of sexual assault between, one intimate partner against another, with the ultimate goal of getting power and control over their partner. That is what we define as domestic violence. So for people, members of our community who are experiencing domestic violence, yourself, or maybe there's somebody that you love who is experiencing violence and abuse in their home every day, we want them to know that there are services out there, people who are willing and very passionate about helping here in the CNMI, advocates. The Care Victim Hotline is a great one to remember because that is 24/7 and it's 5100. If you are interested in obtaining a restraining order, you can get it through CareDot. You can also get it through Family Court or the Office of the Attorney General. And again, if victims do obtain restraining orders, the law requires the respondent or the offender to release firearms to the court for the duration of the protection given by the restraining order or the order of protection. Domestic violence is a very complex issue. We are not just talking about physical violence. Oftentimes, victims are experiencing extreme emotional and mental abuse in addition to physical violence or physical abuse, financial abuse, spiritual abuse. And many times victims are experiencing all of these types of coercive or abusive behaviors on a daily basis. So there are so many members of our community, adults and children, who are living with violence every day. And many of us consider our homes our safe havens, our place to go at the end of the day to relax, to be with our family. For people who are experiencing domestic violence, their home is not their safe place, right? It's a place of violence. It's a place of terror. So when we add firearms to the mix, it becomes an exponentially more dangerous situation. So, for our community members who want to learn more about how they can be part of the movement, it really takes all of us. If everybody just takes a few minutes to understand domestic violence, who makes a commitment to stand up against it, who makes a commitment to speak up or do what they can to support survivors, whether it be in the workplace or at home or in school or at church. If everybody just does a little bit, we can eliminate domestic violence. It's absolutely 100% preventable if we just all do a little bit. So we encourage, everybody in our community to take an active role, join our collective movement to end domestic violence. If they have any questions, if they want information about domestic violence, about the new ruling, about TROs, anything related to domestic violence, we encourage them to reach out to us. You can find us on social media, or you can give us a call at 234-3878.
Over the next couple of years, Northern Marianas College will be probably the busiest construction site in the Northern Mariana Islands, as we will have 5 active construction sites.
The first building is set to be built by April 2025. The $31.4 million project is funded by the U.S. Department of Education, FEMA, and Office of Insular Affairs. It's good news since the NMC campus was devastated by Super Typhoon Yutu in 2018. KUAM got an exclusive first look at the progress.
So what's behind me right now is the Student Center, and this is the flagship building for the Northern Marianas College. It will be the first of 5 buildings that will be constructed on our campus over the next 2 years.
It'll transform the area into a college town. The Student Center will house the Financial Aid Office, Tutoring Center, Admissions Office, and all student services. It's meant to be a gathering space for both students and the community to enjoy. Rafael Mafnas is a project inspector with GHD representing NMC. He was once a student here.
15 to 20% of the project is completed, and we have about 40-some workers working daily. I'm really happy to be part of it, and because I grew up here my whole life, and NMC's always been like a place where I would come up and spend time with my parents, because they actually both worked here for NMC for quite a while. So it's just nice to see that the campus is finally realizing its dreams come true.
NMC is exploring options for students and staff amid the transition. They're looking into renting spaces or borrowing government buildings, transitioning classes online, and have already updated their telework procedures. They haven't finalized those plans yet, but expect to implement some of them gradually in the next year.
We are trying to position ourselves to have as much flexibility with as many options so that we can do what's best for our students and for our community.
After a long search, Kevin Watson was hired as the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation Executive Director. He started the job in June after serving as CUC's Deputy Executive Director.
My main priorities is actually divided in all water, wastewater, and power. We got improvements needed in every area.
Watson said CUC is looking to the future, exploring a potential solar farm on Saipan.
I am following up on the solar power 20 megawatt design. We have funding for that, and we are putting out the RFP this week to do the design. The land is already identified and acquired, so we are moving forward.
Watson said the public land they will use is northwest of the Saipan Airport. They're hoping for a public-private partnership for the project, which ranges in cost from $60 million to $100 million. It could take 5 years to complete.
If we can reduce the fuel consumption, then that would help reduce the cost to our customers. We still have to pay, if we do a public-private partnership, we don't know what that cost would be to us now, because we're not in the same situation as Guam. They did theirs 5 years ago.
Today, Tirawami. My name is Kinilis Nebwe Tuhuwete, Chamorro Carolinian from the village of Tanapag of the island of Saipan.
My name is Bear Omar, Berlin Omar. I am from the village of Tanapag. I'm Chamolinian Chukis from the Mortlocks region.
Chamolinian Chat started online a year ago and is described as Our Canoe, Our Classroom. They produce cultural content and language resources for all ages, not just online, but also easy-to-use physical cards in Chamorro and Carolinian.
Promote language and culture of both Chamorros and Carolinian, hence the name Chamolinian Chats. Very starter-friendly, very elementary level, very beginner-friendly.
All about promoting and preserving our language, especially now that the youth don't really speak the language anymore.
They say the time is now to learn and preserve our native languages.
It takes the village. It takes everyone for cultural preservation and supporting our language.
Our elders are still here, so let's learn from them while they're still here, while they're still alive. And let's also come together and learn together.
Thomas Manglona, KUAM News, Saipan.